Wow. Okay. That was another trailer. So yeah, welcome everyone to another episode of A Drink with Brink, where I talk with other indie creators about their lives and their campaigns and their comics, because people often invite me to their shows and give me their platforms, and I appreciate it. And I want to do something in return for this awesome community. Okay, guys, it's been a slow weekend. It's just a slow Sunday, so um, we still have plenty to do. The Perfect 10 Issue 3 campaign is still up. We're on InDemand. We're working on the last pages of the book. Um, so that's still going on, and sometimes I need a little break. So this Sunday is slow for me, but I wanted to do a drink with Brink. I try to do it every uh, week because there are so many cool people with campaigns and with books, and I'm like, if you want to come on my show, if you have something to promote, you are this indie creator and you want to talk about your book, just reach out to me at Twitter. You can see it here, JM Comics, and we can make it happen. So yeah, I saw that Jim Cox is here. Hey, Jim Cox, welcome, man. Welcome, sir. Nice to see you. And Ty Ranger. Hey, man. Welcome. So it's a slow Sunday, but we are going to have some fun here. We're going to talk with a creator. I talked with him a few days back, and I checked out his campaign. It looks interesting. So let's just bring him on and see what it's all about. So welcome to the show, Ty, the comic guy.
Thank you, and thank you for the applause. That I have not gotten that on the other shows. That was great.
Yes, you get it here, man. You get it here. So, yeah, welcome, Ty.
Thank you for having me.
Where are you from?
I am from California in the USA.
California. Da, 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 da. Cool, man.
California dreaming.
That one too.
I should
Yes.
never sing. Sorry about that.
Never sing live on streams and never do math. Those are the things that
Yes,
I was taught. So
both
Mike
good
is here, by the
advice.
way. Hey, Mike. Don't forget your ticker, Dave. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you, Mike. You see, I always make a ticker, and I often forget it. And this time, Mike reminded me of it. So here we go. Woo! Thank you, Mike. Excellent. Yeah. Okay, man. Ty, this is a drink with Brink. So my question to you is, what are you drinking?
I have a shot of Glenlivet.
Blend lemon? What?
Glenlivet. It's a whiskey.
Oh, it's a whiskey. All right. You see, I'm not familiar with the whiskey. So yeah. All right. Okay. Cool. Excellent. You need to have this boost, this whiskey boost for the stream. So yeah. Okay. Usually, what we do is the first half we talk about the creator. So because people don't know you and I do not know you, and we want to know who Ty the comic guy is. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your history with comic books?
Well, I am a creator. I've done art for my whole life. Comics is more of a new aspect of it. Um, I unfortunately came to comics later in life. Uh, when I was a kid, I went to a 7-Eleven and I got a Batman comic just based on the cover, and the interior pages were just so not anywhere close to the cover. And as a little
Yeah,
kid, I felt cheated.
this
so
happens. Yeah, yeah.
So I did not end up actually getting into them until I was in my 30s. And I started with some of the big two titles. I actually started collecting with an event called Damnation from Marvel, which
Hmm.
I really enjoyed, but I've been more gravitating towards indies lately. Um, I like the campaign aspect, especially more interaction with creators, and I think you get more bang for your buck with indies in a lot of ways too, because they're more passion projects than weekly, monthly deadlines. And that's not to say there aren't great artists at the big two. Don't want anyone to misconstrue that, but
Hmm.
I'm currently just gravitating towards indies. I've tried writing novels in the past. I went to school for an art degree, so I got to try all sorts of different types of arts. I've done metalsmithing and glass blowing
Oh,
and
really?
lots of art history classes. So I try to
Right.
mix everything I can together, and I really enjoy telling stories. So between loving to make art and loving to tell stories, comics was just a natural fit.
Right. So your interest in stories brought you towards comic books.
Correct.
Right.
I was trying to write a novel, like a fantasy Tolkien, J.R.R. Martin esque
Wow.
novel, and I found that I was spending more time doing drawings for it than actually writing it.
Hmm.
And went, there's actually something where you can link drawing and telling stories. Why am I not doing that? And
Yes.
that's how I started out with comics, and that was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And
Okay.
then this project that I'm doing the Kickstarter for, I've been working on for the last 2 years. It started out as a little 8-page story, and it was one of those stories where it just kept growing and growing in my mind to the point I just had to do it, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad that I did because I really love the book I came out with.
That's the curse of the writer. You have this little idea, this little concept, and it just blows up, man. It's you have to do something
Exactly,
with it. So yeah.
or
So
it
is
annoys
this
you to death.
is this comic book connected to your novel work?
It is not.
Hmm.
This story kind of came about from a couple different things. This is fantasy, but set in history. So it's the story of a samurai and missing children and monsters and things of that nature. But
Hmm.
unlike the fantasy book where I was creating the whole world, I wanted to go with on this one the idea that there are folklore creatures in the real world, and this guy has to try to protect us from them.
All right, all right. We're going to talk about your book in a little bit. Welcome to the show, Dr. Rhino. Yeah, that curse is also sort of a blessing, sort of. Damn my imagination at times. Yeah,
I'd agree.
and yeah, Mike says better to have too much idea than look around at the mainstream, not enough. Yes, yes, you're a creator. You're so create, and if you can do that, and if you have this, especially you have a passion for fantasy, and you want to write novels, so you have to think big. If you look at Tolkien's work, that's that's like a life's work. So did you actually finish your novel?
I did not. I was about 5 chapters or so in, and that's when I came across the idea to do comics, and I've just been working on that ever since.
Okay, right, right. Okay. Do do you notice a difference in the writing process when you compare it to writing novels to writing script for a comic book?
Yes, definitely big difference for me. I tend to be very long-winded, which does kind of work when you're going with
Yeah,
Tolkien style because
right.
you can spend a whole chapter talking about this person's ancestry or the history of this castle. But with comics, I needed to be much more concise and precise. I actually got an editor for that reason
Hmm.
because I was noticing that I was just having pages filled with nothing but dialogue bubbles and thought bubbles to the point you couldn't see the art. And what's the point of having a comic book if you can't see the art?
Yes,
So she
this
was
is true.
very, very good at helping me streamline everything
Right,
into and reminding me, it's a visual medium first, and then the dialogue and writing is second. If you can't read it like a manga, like I can't read Japanese, you should still be able to tell the gist of the story going through, even if you can't read it. So I thought that
right.
was some pretty useful advice as well.
Yes, yes. There's some rule. It's not a strict rule, but there is some rule that for every panel you don't use more than 25 words, um, or for every balloon, and for every page not more than 120. So and then you get a good average. Um, but nowadays, mainstream comics seems to have thrown all these rules out the window, and you get these pages filled with texts, and no one wants to read that, man. So,
Unless you're Chris Claremont, he's pretty good at that, but it's a hard
yeah.
bar to meet.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it's visual storytelling. So yeah, but usually when you write your novel, you have to make all these descriptions, right? And now that's the visual part. Do you do you work with a artist, or do you draw everything yourself?
I've written and done all the art for this. Like I said, I
Right.
did hire the editor, so she
Oh
was
yeah, right.
part of the writing process. But I had pretty much everything set before I went to an editor, which is a bad idea, by the way. Editor, then do story, not story, then get editor. That's one of the things I learned,
Right.
because it's so much easier to work off of the um, suggestions that the other gives when you don't have the pages already drawn and inked and colored
Hmm.
and lettered. So I would say that that's a good trick, is to go with the editor first. But I did do all the pencils. I'd say about 95% of the book is traditional hand drawn pencils inked, and there is some digital stuff, but that's usually like a panel or two on a page. And I
Mm.
tried to make sure the styles match. So I think I'm the only one that can tell so far from everyone I've shown. No one can
So
tell which one's
why
traditional.
is that? Why did you include digital panels?
Well, before I started this, I did not have any digital programs, and I got my iPad and a program called Procreate while I was working on this,
Hmm.
and I found that it was much easier editing images in Procreate, because otherwise, if I'm doing all the stuff in ink, once it's in ink, it's kind of set. If I'm in Procreate and I have a problem with, say, the head being out of proportion or not liking the background, I could very easily take the person out of the background to fix that, or I could scale the head in one way or another.
Hmm.
I did not like it quite for everything, and I do my colors in Photoshop instead of Procreate. And that's just a holdover preference I've had with Photoshop, because I've been using that for like 2 decades.
Yes,
So it was just more comfortable for me to do that way.
of course, of course. David Feed, hey, welcome, man. Good evening to you. Okay, so you wrote the story, you drew the story. Uh, what was your inspiration for this particular comic?
I was originally thinking of like a worldwide team up book, and I decided very early on that that was just not something I wanted to try, especially for one of my first attempts at a comic.
Hmm.
And this was the genesis of this character was from that book. It's not the exact same character. Um, I did try doing some smaller stories for an anthology, and
All right.
that's where this started up. And it was just basically hero fighting monster for a little 8-page thing.
Hmm.
And then I tried moving on, and I kept getting this, oh, what if you added this to that story with the samurai, and what if you tried doing that? And after about 3-4 months, it was all I could think about. So I decided, I just have to write this book. And so I started out doing an outline and some thumbnails, and I just went from there.
Okay. And what is your what do you think is the biggest challenge when you want to make your own comic book?
Uh, Time probably for me. Uh, I do work, so it's spare time that I'm working on my stuff.
Hmm.
And especially if you're doing everything yourself, it can take a really long time. The good
Right.
thing about doing everything yourself is you do have a better idea of what you're going for. Like I'm currently working on a project where someone sent me some pages, and I'm doing the illustrations. And
Okay. Oh,
and
cool.
I their story is really cool, but not being in their head, I'm trying to figure out what sort of stuff the writer wants from me. But when you're also the writer, it makes it easier because you automatically know.
Right. So when you get a script from someone else, so you draw for someone else, you get the script. Do you sometimes think, I would have done this differently? I would have written this differently. So you give some feedback or something.
This is actually the first script I've gotten from somebody else.
Right. Yeah.
So my focus is more how do I make what they want on the page.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't really considered how I would write it differently. I'm sure I would, just because everyone has their own different writing style.
Mm-hmm.
But I really don't want to tell somebody else how they should tell their story. If
No. No.
anything, it
Of
would
course.
be, if anything, it would be, hey, can I switch this from 5 panels to 3 panels, or 3 to 5, something like that,
Right. Yes.
just for the art purpose.
Yes. Okay. And were there specific things you needed to learn to make a comic book? Because you knew how to draw, but the comic book format, did you need to learn new things for that?
I would say I definitely had to learn pacing in comic books,
Mm.
and the writing style that we talked about earlier. That
Hmm.
that more condensed, let the art tell the story. The writing's just there for the dialogue, and I think those are the two biggest things for me: is the pacing and the bringing the wording down.
Right.
Oh, and Mike, technically, I do the Marvel method, where I have a very loose outline, and then I start doing the sketching, and then go back for a final pass. It just does not work very well when you're doing it yourself,
Yes.
because then you add pages and take out pages, and
Yeah. It's a good thing you have this editor to keep you on the path, because you can easily draw new pages, or extra pages, or extend certain scenes, and you have this editor, and they tell you, no, no, this is the plan, stick to the plan, yeah.
yeah, she was great at that. Like, no, no, I agreed for a 70-page graphic novel, not 150. So you need to take out
Yeah.
this subplot, this thing,
Oh
do a
no,
prequel or
yeah.
sequel.
It sometimes hurts, if you have to remove stuff that you actually like, but yeah. Yeah. So how did you meet your editor? How did that work?
I met her on Twitter, I think. Um,
Mm.
there's a there was a live stream that I was watching, and she was part of it, and it was just a random Twitter meet, and she was super into comics, and I got to the point in my story where I wanted someone with more knowledge of comics to look over it, because like I
Mm.
said, since I didn't grow up with them, I knew that I could be missing out on something, and I wanted to have the best story I could. And I just asked her, do you happen to know editors? And she goes, I edit. So
All right.
from there, we just started working together. I sent her pages and she printed them out and then like did handwritten notes at the bottom so she could circle things, and if there was like a particular part of the image that wasn't working she could highlight it, or she could write, here's how you might want to phrase this dialogue differently, things of that nature. So we worked for 4 or 5 months, maybe a little longer, just to hammer out the stuff. And there were definitely times, like you said, that she said, you can do better. This panel can be better. So go redraw that panel. Or there's 2 or 3 pages that were just, no, you don't need this. Take this out. You're making the story too long. This is just
Mhm.
filler at this point. So I'm really happy that I found her and she was willing to help me on this project.
Right.
I'd
So
probably still be
so
working
she
on it
didn't.
otherwise.
Yeah. So she didn't only help you with the story, but also with the visuals. Sometimes she told you this visual can be better.
Yes,
Hmm.
and in 2 different ways. In the art can be better way, and in the way where, as the artist and the writer, something will work in my head, like a particular panel, and then when you show it to
Yeah.
somebody else, it does not make sense. So she would be, what's going on in this panel? I can't figure it out. Then I would tell
Right.
her, and she would be, oh, then maybe tweak this part, maybe add this or take that out because I did not get what you were going for.
Right. Did you sometimes veto her? Like, no, this is staying in.
I did.
Yeah, you
I
did.
did.
Okay.
I tried not to do it too much because my whole mentality was, if I'm asking someone to edit, then I want them to edit.
Right.
And I've heard that it's very common for people to hire an editor and then not listen to anything the editor says, and that
Oh,
just does
yeah.
not make sense to me.
No, no. Mike says, I remember the days of Bob Harris, Danny Finch Roth, some of the last actual Marvel editors, not commissars. And Derek Fury. Hey, welcome. Welcome, Derek.
Hello, hello.
Nice to see you. We're talking today with Ty, the comic guy. So, is this some sort of branding name, Ty, the comic guy?
It is. I Before I was doing the comic book, I was playing a online game, and that's why I set up my Twitter account. So I had my character name, which was Tyon, and I have now had that stuck in my Twitter handle. So no
Right.
one can pronounce it because it's a made up name. So I shortened it to Ty, and then as I was producing more comics, I decided I would just go with Ty the Comic Guy because it had a nice ring to it.
Yeah. Derek Fury. I edit indie movies, and yeah, nobody listens to the editor. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Which is so weird because editing is necessary in my point of view.
Hmm.
Only, like I said earlier, as the artist, I know that some things will automatically work in my head because I'm the artist, I'm the writer,
Yes.
and translating that to an audience, it's so nice to have an outside perspective to tell you if your translation works or
Yes.
if it doesn't. And also with pacing,
Hmm.
because I can be very long-winded if you haven't noticed by this point in the interview. I
No,
think
you.
you already
No, no.
showed.
But did you also work with editors while you were writing your novel?
I more worked with test readers when it came to
Okay.
writing the
Yeah.
novel. And the other thing is, I have a learning disability that's like dyslexia.
Hmm.
So I move things around, but I can also flip and mirror them. The easiest way for me to describe it to most people is, if you look at a lowercase p, d, b, and q, I can write any of them interchangeably just because
Hmm.
of how the disability works.
Right.
So I tended to have proofreaders more than editors on the writing aspect because I would want to write dad, for instance, I would put pad
Right.
because of it. And then when I'm reading back over it, I don't necessarily catch that. So that was one of the reasons I had proofreaders instead of an editor there. I'm sure if I had gotten the whole thing done, I'd gravitate more towards an editor, but just trying to get it
Hmm.
out on the page was a struggle enough without having to go back and rework chapter one while I'm trying to work on chapter 10. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Yeah, yeah, yes. David Tweed says you need an editor you respect or a contract where that person has the final say or something. Yeah, and then Jim says, I think copy editors are equally important. Yeah,
Are copy editors the ones that do the reading after, right before it goes to print? Just so I know the terminology. Is that what we're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah. To make sure I do that also now because, as you can hear, I'm not a native English speaker, but my comic books are English. So now I have someone who reads over the text and makes sure there are no spelling errors or weird sentences or whatever in the dialogue because this happened and once it's printed, it's printed, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Then I would definitely agree with both of you on that. Then
right. Jim says copy editor is probably the same as what Ty's describing as a proofreader. And Crazy Matt is here. Hey, welcome, Crazy Matt. Nice to see you. And then we have Chris Fisk is also here. Welcome, Chris. Nice to see you. Okay, let's take a look at your book, man, at your campaign. We
sounds
share the
good.
screen. We already shared the video, so we can just focus on the campaign right now. There we go. Okay, first off, the Undying Chronicle, Eyes of Red and Purple. This is a fascinating title.
And you probably would like me to explain it to you.
Yes, yes. What's first off? You have the Undying Chronicle. What does that
Okay,
mean?
the lead character is called the Undying, and when we scroll down into the pages, I'll get into why he has that name. I have a page that
Mm,
describes what
right.
happens to him and how he has that name.
Hmm.
And the eyes of red and purple are the antagonist. I don't want to say villain because it's a creature. It has red eyes. The Undying has purple eyes, and there's also something in the story that's a bit of a spoiler, so I try not to get too into it,
Mm.
where purple eyes in someone else becomes majorly important to the lead character.
Eyes, Eyes of Red. I like that. Yeah, David Feet has his own fantasy epic comic book series called Red Eyes, which is also now on Indiegogo, by the way. So check that out. Jim says, Mike, a popular one. I will probably get back into it, and I'm sure the story will be good. But I just get put off by bad grammar, and I'm not perfect. Yeah,
Oh, I know what you mean. I have stuff like that too, or like internal consistency in a story where like Star Trek did this sometimes, where you would have something in one episode and then it just disappears in another episode, even though it would be perfectly useful. That bothers me, and it really shouldn't. Where is this? Why is this
yeah.
not here?
It's probably also because you're right. You're more sensitive to these kind of things. You probably noticed plot holes earlier than other people. Yeah,
True, and it does get very trying because you want to just enjoy the show, but like Jim said, it just puts you off, and you're like, okay, I got to come back at a later time when I can not have to worry about nitpicking the grammar or the this minor plot hole that doesn't even matter to anybody else but me.
right. Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's see. Your goal, you reached your goal, so congratulations.
Thank you. I was very, very
Uh,
happy about that.
yeah, man, nice. And you have 3 days left. Is this the 3 days of the first 30 days of the campaign, or the complete 60 days?
I did 45. I kind of split the difference.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's the end of that. I'm planning on doing in demand until I have the books from the printer and start shipping. I've ordered extras, so if someone wants to um, jump on board a little bit later, they'll have the option for that. And I should mention, because you, like you said, you're not in the U.S. Shipping the book was just going to be way too expensive for my first campaign to go overseas.
Mm,
So what I've done for international backers and anyone else that just wants to go with the digital is I have some stretch goals as part of the campaign. So when I do the PDF, any stretch goal that's been reached will be added to the PDF. So everyone can participate in that aspect of it. Because what
so
I've seen
stretch
mostly,
goals are digital.
um, for they will be added to the PDF. Physical backers will get a physical copy,
Hmm.
but I wanted digital backers to be able to share in that because a lot of the campaigns I looked at, it was just PDF of the book. So if you hit 4, 5, 6 stretch goals, the physical backers got all these cool things, and the digital backers just got the book and just the book. So I wanted to make sure that the digital backers got to participate in that because for me, that's one of the fun things about the campaign is, oh, am I going to get this extra thing? Do I get this extra image? So on and so forth. So
Right. Okay,
just
that's
wanted to make
cool.
sure I put that out there.
That's cool that you give digital backers something extra. That's awesome. Okay, you have yeah, you so 3 days. In 3 days, this ends goes in demand, and you said you already placed the order at the printer, right?
That's correct.
So the book is done.
The book is done. Because I'm doing everything myself, I wanted to make sure that the book was set and ready to go. Because if you're got the writer and an inker and a penciler and all that, you don't necessarily get the same hangups. Like I unfortunately had a bit of a medical thing after I launched the book,
Hmm.
and I'm happy the book was done because had it not been done, I people would have to wait probably an extra month or so because I was delayed, and I want to get this to people as soon as I can.
Yes. Yeah. And if you don't make any last changes or you add pages like I did, then you can deliver on time. Yes. Very wise. Okay, let's take a look at your. Okay, tell us a little bit about the story.
The story is about this samurai warrior who has a connection with creatures that are not of this world, and he gets a vision of this village and knows that something bad is going to happen. And as he's making his way there, the village is engulfed by this ominous fog, and there's a creature running around, and the creature kidnaps 3 boys from the village and takes them off into the woods. So the story starts with the Undying trying to figure out what's happening, going off into the woods, trying to rescue the kids if they can even be rescued anymore. And at that point, I have some twists and turns that go into spoiler territory. So it's not just the knight storming the castle to slay the dragon sort of a thing. I've got um, some history behind his sword, which is in the poster that's on the side there. It's glowing, so that is explained. Um,
Mm,
and there's some other little elements of lore that I've added. I wanted this to be a complete story, so it does have a beginning, middle, and end. I do have a prequel in mind that goes more into depth about who he is and how he got his powers. but there's plenty in here for the reader to be satisfied with. Okay, he's got these powers because, and might not be exactly what I'm planning, but I wanted to make sure, because we were talking earlier about the big two especially, but others as well, where you want to read, but get so many. You have to have this issue of this book over here and that issue of that book over here to understand what's going on, and this third book over here. And I was really trying to avoid that for my first campaign. So
Okay. So this is
so
one story. It is standalone.
this is one story. Yes,
Right.
it's one of many. That's why it's the Undying Chronicle, but it's one story in the Chronicle of the Undying.
Okay. So you were planning a prequel, you said, right?
Yes, I have a prequel and I have a sequel in mind.
Okay.
So the end is slightly open-ended for the prequel, but for the sequel, but you still get the complete story, and I'm hoping that after you read the story, you'll want to get the sequel as opposed to the sequel bait that we get at the end of movies all the time.
Yeah. So after the sequel, is the saga completed?
I don't know, because I do have many stories I could tell with this guy. It's a matter of which ones are the best. I want to put
Right.
out the best ones I can, and if other ones pop in my head that I really get into, then I'm going to write more. I have a few other comics that I would like to do at some point, so I don't want to be exclusively on this guy for the rest of my comics career. But if I was, I'd have no problem with that because I love this character.
Right. So here you have the red eyes. They have this page here. So how long do you work on one page to draw it?
To draw it, if I'm not including the thumbnails to get the composition down, it usually takes me a day to 2 days to do the pencil, another 2 days to do the inking. So anywhere
Oh,
between 4 days and a week, I would say, for a page.
wow. Okay. And you do your own lettering, I take it?
Yes, I did my own lettering.
Yeah. Okay.
That also was
So
helpful too, since I am long-winded, to physically know, okay, this is the only amount of space you have is this bubble here. Make your dialogue work in that bubble.
yes. Yes, this is true, man. It's true. Okay. What's going on here? There's
Okay, this
uh,
is
who's this
when
character? Is this the main character?
this is the main character. That's the Undying. It's the
All
only
right.
time in the book that you see him without his helmet and mask on.
Mm-hmm.
He's meditating, and if you go down, the next page is linked to it, so it's a little easier to explain exactly. But he's meditating. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He has a bad feeling, and he's starting to get visions of that village, and there's something off. He's been searching for these creatures for a long time, but this time something feels different, and he doesn't know what it is. So this is him kind of getting his call to action, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Um, so you do your own script, right? So do you sometimes drift from your own script visually? So you have this plan, like I have 3 panels here. This needs to happen, and then you start drawing, and you're like, maybe I can do it differently. So squeeze in this extra panel, or remove one, or whatever.
Oh, that happens to me all the time. It
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say earlier with the marble method, where yeah, I've
Mm-hmm.
got my outline, and then I go to draw it, and I realize that, oh, I need this to be longer to be able to put in what I want for the description, or
Yeah.
this needs an extra beat of action, and I don't necessarily realize it until I have the initial thumbnails down on the page.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then we have this here. This is like a memory or a dream sequence or something.
That's him having the vision that's going to draw him to the village.
Right. Okay.
He knows that something's happening. He can't quite see what it is. You've got the child that's going to be one of the children that's going to be abducted, the mother, and he's getting all that. And then the final panel at the bottom is when he finally realizes where he needs to go.
This is nice. The reflection in his eyes here. I like that.
Thank you.
Did
I have
you
a
did you
couple.
did you use Photoshop to integrate a second picture
I
into
did.
this one?
I
Right.
did. And sometimes, not in this panel, but in other panels, his eyes do get some lightning in them. So
Mm,
I usually do the lightning using Procreate, just so I can get a nice, clean, defined line.
right.
I've tried doing the drawing aspect just right onto the paper, and it just wasn't as crisp as I would like it. So I do try to augment the pencils and inks with the digital stuff when I can, if it's going to make it look better, not
Right.
just to do it. Um, but
Right.
I
And you
did
have a
think
lot of
that. Oh, go ahead.
no, you have a lot of eye close-ups, I think, in your book. It's kind of the theme, right?
I do have a lot of eye close-ups. I also
Hmm.
wanted to do that for conveying more emotion,
Mm,
um, especially since this character does have a mask. That's the eyes are the only thing that you can usually see on that to indicate any sort of
right.
emotional stuff.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Here's fully in the suit or the costume or so. Did you did you get this when you designed this, right? This costume. Did you take a look at historical um, attire? Um, did you
I
get
did.
it right in one try? So how did the design process go?
Um, Years ago, I got the chance to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and they have a section there that's arms and armor. And at the time, I was very into European armor, like the knights in shining armor sort of thing. And when I was there, they had a section that was Japanese um, traditional armors. So some was samurai, some was not. And there was this really striking, beautiful red full suit of armor with this. I think it was a tiger mask, but it could have been a dragon. I'm not sure at the moment. But when I saw that, that just stuck with me. And when I started thinking about this sort of a samurai character, I went, "Oh, I've got to go inspired on that." And I tried to make it close, but at the same time, I didn't want to do something where I was trying to copy the real armor, because I didn't want to insult anybody if I got it wrong, and I also didn't want to take anyone out of it. So I did do some changes to make sure that it fit my artistic style and was close enough, but not directly
Right.
what real armor would look like.
Right. Okay. Because it is fantasy, but you wanted to feel a bit grounded.
Correct.
You wanted to give this historical feel. Um,
Correct.
okay. A few close-ups. Played around with sound effects here.
Yes, I wanted to have at least something that was like an action scene,
Hmm.
but because I am trying to have the monster be held back as much as possible, so that when you're reading it, the big reveal is still fresh for you. I
Right.
decided that the action scenes would spoil that a bit, so I wanted to go with this, um, just to get a flavor of there is going to be action. The sword has its lightning stuff, um,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
some of the
Cool.
colors and things of that nature.
Hmm. Nice. Okay. This is the main cover.
That is the back cover and one of the poster options.
All
The
right.
main cover is the first image that's on the um, video at the top,
Okay.
and
Oh,
that's the other poster option.
all right. You have two posters. What's this?
I decided I wanted to have an extra special perk, and I had done a series of these paintings where I did a painted frame to make it look like bamboo, and it usually had the castle, but it always had the cherry blossom. And since
Hmm.
that fit with the story, it partially inspired the story. I decided I would put that as an option to see if anyone liked it, and it got snatched up in the first like 8 hours. I
Oh,
think it might have been one
nice.
of the first sales on it.
Excellent, man.
So
Yeah.
definitely on
Awesome.
the next campaign, I'm going to do some more of that sort of thing, for
Oh,
backers
this
as
is
well.
long. Oh,
I
oh
was
wait.
just
This
trying
is
to show the. It's
that's
the
a
same
close up.
painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right.
just wanted to
Yeah.
show how the frame is painted.
Right. Yes. Okay. Okay. People can check that out on the campaign. Okay. Let's go through your perks. Okay. The first perk is the digital. All
Correct.
right.
And as I said, we've already hit the first stretch goal. So on top of the book, the digital perk will also get a image for that first stretch goal, which
Okay.
I can
So,
screen share if you want.
oh sure, man. And since the book is done, if you back this now, you get this digital book pretty soon.
Yes, the digital copy should be coming out within a few days of the campaign ending.
All right. All right.
I do have to check with my backers when we're done if they would prefer a Dropbox link or a Google Documents link. That's the only thing that I'll be waiting on afterwards.
Right. Yes. Cherry Blossom Blues must be a joy to illustrate. Hundreds of, according to Billy Tucci. Okay. Crazy Mad gets Ghost of Tsushima vibes.
I have not played the game, but I know what he's talking about. It's
Yeah, yeah.
it looks really cool.
It
Unfortunately,
looks
I don't
nice.
have time for games.
No. So, what is this again? What we're looking at?
Okay, this is the first stretch goal. It's a for the physical backers. It's a 4x6 print, and for the digital backers, they'll be getting it added to the end of the PDF. So it's
Okay.
just it's an up close. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do the trading cards, so this was my compromise of doing a 4x6. That way, if you want to frame it, you can frame it, and it's also easily put into the bags and boards, so no extra shipping needed.
Right. Nice. Okay. Cool. Okay. That was the first perk. So digital copy, guys. If you want to support Thai for just $8, you have the digital book. How many pages is this?
It's 72 pages, and it has a front and back cover and the acknowledgments and credits. So book is
Right.
72 pages, 76 if you count those.
76. Okay, guys. So for $8, 76 pages, you get it when the campaign ends, which is in 3 days. So if you want to support Thai, and this is a pretty easy option, right? And then you have the book for $25.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So that's full color. You get the 72 pages. I've already gotten my proofs back from the printer, and those have.
That's always exciting.
It is. Um, I did notice one thing that I had screwed up on, so I have now uploaded them two new files.
Oh,
um,
oh,
so
oh no!
they're
You noticed a little mistake? Or
I did, which is
mm,
why we get proofs.
yes. Oh,
So that's on its way back to the ship or to the printer as we speak,
hmm,
and I think it's going to be 14 to 20 business day turnaround
all right.
for them to print it, and then there'll be shipping me books, and I'm still looking good for an August delivery date on those.
August. Excellent. Johnny Cage. Hey, welcome, sir. Welcome, man. And we have Edith. Oh, wait. Edith. Welcome, Edith. Nice to see you. Yeah. Okay, nice. So that's the book. And then the next one is the book plus poster.
Yes, I have two that are books plus poster. So
Mhm.
the first
Right.
one is a bigger version of the back cover, which I was able to put a lot more detail into just because of the difference in printing sizes. When it's with just the back cover, it looked kind of muddled. So when it gets blown
Mm.
up, you get a lot more detail, like in the mist and with some of the highlights from the moon and the power. And I actually got those, the first batch of those in yesterday. And I did a little unboxing video. I was
Oh.
way too proud of my unboxing video.
Oh, you have your own channel also.
I do. I don't post a lot on it, but
Oh, okay.
I do have some drawing on there,
Ah,
random of my animals doing cute animal things.
right,
Uh,
right.
my favorite is I had a praying mantis in my backyard when I was playing with my dogs with a laser pointer. Apparently, praying mantises go after a laser pointer, so I filmed that. So that had to be on YouTube.
Of course, man. Okay, you have a book and a poster, and the next one is also book and a poster. The second poster.
Correct.
Right. It's, it's
So
the
far,
same.
no one's ordered that poster, so I have
Mhm.
not gotten it printed.
Ah,
Um,
okay. Right.
but I do have it set up with the printer, so if somebody does want to get it, I can get that turned around pretty quick.
Excellent. And then the last one. Yeah, that's the painting that's gone. Excellent. Okay. Not much bogging down this campaign. It's pretty simple, guys. You have the book, the digital, plus two posters. So get on it. You still have 3 days. Then it goes in demand, right? Um, okay. Let's just see. Yeah, it's in euros here, but that doesn't matter. Let's see if we got a backer during the stream. You never know, man. So
Never know.
we have 18 backers now. So let's refresh. And you have 19.
Yay! Thank you, whoever backed it.
That was crazy mad.
Thank you very much, Crazy Man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. That's excellent. Thank you so much. Wow. So that was fantastic. Okay, guys. Undying Chronicle. Yeah, it's cool. The link to this campaign is in the description of this video, so you can go there and visit it. Ty, if people want to follow you, where can they find you?
I only do Twitter at the moment, and my handle, you should be able to find me at Ty the Comic Guy. But if that doesn't work, it's Ranger, Ranger, Tyon, Tyion.
Hmm. Okay, and to make it easy, I put it in the description of the video. So
Thank you very much.
Mike says, gotta promote the channel of yours for the sake of your projects. Malin told Dave that it is so. Yeah, 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 man. Okay, cool. So, is there something else before we close off? Is there something else you want people to know about your campaign?
I think we covered everything with the campaign. I just want everyone to know I appreciate all the backers and the support, and I appreciate you and everyone else that's let me come on the streams and talk about it. I really enjoy it. I've been spending 2 years of my free time making it, and I'm so happy that people want to see it.
Yes, excellent. Okay, guys, check it out. And while you're at it, by the way, one sec. While you're at it, then you can also still go to Perfect 10 issue 3. It's in demand while we are producing, while we are finishing the book. And when everything goes out, I will close it down. So get on this, guys. Also, I added to the campaign page the artwork by Alan Goldman. You see it here. It's a rough artwork. It's being inked right now by Peter Palmiotti. It'll be colored. It'll be magnificent, and it'll be the back cover of this book. So it's fantastic. Don't miss it, guys. So get on that.
That is a great page.
Yeah, man, it's I'm so happy I could work with Alan Goldman. Um, okay, guys, please share, like, and you know the drill. Ty, I want to thank you for being my guest today, and I want to thank the chat for being here, for everyone showing up, for backing, for sharing. You guys are awesome. And I'll probably be back next week with another episode of A Drink with Brink. Same channel, same time, new guest. Hope to see you then, guys. Bye bye.